Welcome to the Successful Life Podcast. I am your host, Corey Barrier, and I'm here with Miss Dr. Alex Pike. I don't know why I said Alexis.
Not adjusted. You're promoting me already. I'm a registered nurse.
Oh, well, it's pretty close. Pretty close.
Very, very close.
Yes. So, Alex, oh my God, I'm so excited. We have attempted to do this a couple of times, and we're successful. However, we wanted to make sure that we got the whole story. And there was parts of the story that were, at the time, not appropriate to talk about. And now we've moved through those issues, so to speak, or whatever you want to call it. And today we're going to hear all about Alex. And I'm pretty sure this is the first time you've told your story, right?
It is, yeah.
Ooh.
I know. I can't wait. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm so excited to be here.
Absolutely. And look, I just want everybody to know, Alex got up at like probably 3:30 this morning to make sure that she could do this podcast for me. So thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure. I'm really looking forward to it.
So let's hear it, Alex. I know people, we all run in very, very similar circles. And so I'm sure this is going to potentially come to a shock to a lot of people because people see you from the outside and they would have no idea what you're about to tell us. So I'm super excited.
My whole world is I'm in the beauty industry. So I have cosmetic clinics and I've been, running those clinics for the past 11 years. So my story really started in the beauty industry as well, as I was signed as a model to a top modeling agency at 12. So, every school holidays, I would fly up to Sydney. I was from a very small country town and I would model in the school holidays for magazines and do shows and catwalk shows, etc. And this whole, world about everything being about my looks started, at a really young age of being 12 years old. So, skipping ahead a few years of spending this time in Sydney, I would say I got, unwanted attention from, men that were a lot older. And it led to an event with a man in his 50s when I was 14 years old. And I didn't have the courage to tell my parents at that stage what had happened. So the shame around that and the shame around my looks, because, I felt maybe I had brought that on myself, as you do when you're a child. I spiraled. I completely spiraled into drugs and alcohol at 14 years of age.
And Alex, so I just want everybody to kind of have a perspective, because people see you and they think that you probably grew up in a very easy, an amazing home and you've had this easy life, but being trapped inside of your head after an event like the one you referred to, and then not being able to talk about it, that's got to be super, super fucking hard.
It was hard. I had an amazing family, an amazing childhood, and my parents gave us absolutely everything. And I just felt, I was so immobilized in the fear from what had happened that I just didn't have the courage to speak up. I managed to hide the drugs and alcohol use from my parents for a very, very, very long time. I was very good at being discreet. But what ended up happening was that the more I played up and experimented with drugs and alcohol, the worse, the behavior became. And then by the time I was 17, I was still modeling in Sydney. And, I was actually, dating a man in his 50s. And, it was, a very, very shady, wealthy businessman. And what followed from that, behavior just exploded, and I was forced to get help and I was forced to go home.
So you had to stop modeling. So was it now? Whose choice was it for you to go home? Is that your parents' choice?
It was my family as well. I was just not well. Yeah. Mentally, very unwell from the behavior. Yeah. It was
That's,
really painful, like really painful. There was a lot of shame. But, I really do believe I was so protected by God because, I could have gotten myself into a lot more trouble, you know.
yeah. Alex, today I stopped drinking 11 years ago today.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yes.
Congratulations. Oh
Thank
my
you.
gosh. Wow.
So,
That makes
so
me feel, I've got goosebumps.
yeah, because I could, it
Congratulations.
takes, thank you. It takes me back though, because I think about when you talk about the pain, I think about the pain that that I was in, in no comparison to what you had, but the feeling of being trapped inside of your body in your head, and like not the only thing that you can think about is either drinking or drugging or whatever the case may be. And like you just immobilized, like you said, it was a great word. Like you're just crushed. And I don't think people really get a grasp of that until you've been trapped like that. And I hope that nobody gets trapped like that. But I will say, like you said, I think it's made me the person that I am today. And I think that's the same for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I just didn't realize though, until I did the healing that I was just trying to hurt myself so badly. Like I had so much self-loathing and hatred for myself along the way from that experience with that man, because I couldn't make sense of what had happened, that, I just kept hurting myself with drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
So it was an awfully painful time. But when I went home, I got help and I made a decision to enroll in nursing. And I rekindled a relationship with my boyfriend of when I was 15, and we started getting quite serious. And at that point, I was in university studying nursing, and I decided to transfer. I qualified for the first part, and I decided to take the relationship more seriously. And I travelled to Melbourne and transferred my university studies to Melbourne, and I became a qualified registered nurse. And I got a job on a plastic surgery ward of a very fancy hospital. And then I sort of realized, wow. And by this point, I'd also gotten myself, clean and sober and looking great again. And I got re-signed as a model again. So whilst I was studying, I started to model again in Melbourne. I was doing really, really well.
So
And
let me ask you, Alex, how was it when when you went back? After being gone, right, from modeling for years, it sounds like, or potentially, uh, were you like a complete wreck going back?
no, I wasn't. I was really ready to handle it. I was just in a completely different mindset, because I was, focused, and I was happy. I was really happy, and I took it very seriously, and it was showing. I kept getting booked for jobs. I started dyeing my hair really dark because they'd always hire a blonde and a brunette, so there was more blondes. So I started dyeing my hair dark, so I got more work. But there was the day that I decided that I wanted to be an injector was the
Mm-hmm.
day I was working at the hospital and I was engaged to be married. And this very tall plastic surgeon, this older plastic surgeon, waltzed down the corridor for his ward rounds in his Armani suit. And he said to me, "Alex, you're getting married, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah, I am." And he said, "Why don't you come up to the clinic after your shift and I'll inject your frown lines with Botox?" And I was like, frown lines? Like I was 22, 23. I was like, what? And anyway, curiosity, I went. And once the treatment started working, I realized that minute that I was going to become an injector. So that was my goal. And once I left there, I started applying for jobs. And there was this one plastic surgeon who's internationally famous. His name is Dr. Brian Mendelsohn, and he's the godfather of the lower facelift. And he discovered a part of the anatomy called the SMAS space that they didn't know existed until he discovered it. So he's actually featured in Grey's Anatomy. This man is very, very famous internationally. So
Really?
this is about persistence, because I rang their office every week for about 6 weeks. Just said, have you got any openings? This keen young nurse. And finally, his nursing unit manager was so sick of me calling up there. She said, "Oh my God, not you again. Want to come up here? Someone's just actually leaving today." And she said, "Can you come up here in the next half an hour?" So I got on the dress and the heels, and I knew in my heart, like, if I met him, I was going to get the job. And I went up there and I met him and I got the job. And I stayed
for
there.
you.
4 years I was with him, and that's where I really learnt about the beauty of excellence. Everything there was just like Arete. It was so aligned with excellence, and it was an amazing place to start my career.
So, would you say that this would be a nurse's dream to have this, to be able to go into nursing the way you did, to be able to go into the hospital that you said is super, super amazing, and then to work for a guy that's world renowned? That's got to be pretty awesome.
I think it was, I'll never forget when, we saw Jesse Itzler, and he's like, you've got to make your place at the table. Like, it felt like that. I got out a pad and pen and I wrote down, the top people in Melbourne, and his name was at the top, and I just wouldn't let it go until I got the job. Do you know what I mean? So, I did sort of make that happen as well. I'm not sure cosmetic nursing's for everyone. It's very, it's very different, but I love it. And I'm really grateful that I get to do something that I love every day.
Well, you get to make people beautiful every day. And, people love coming to you. I'm sure of it, because when I go to get my Botox, I love going to the person that I go to because they're going to make my face look better.
Yeah, it's great. It's an amazing, you're in a very special position, but I'm really noticing, Corey, that the women, because predominantly my practice is women, I do have a small amount of male clientele, and I also have husbands and wives that come together. We say the couples that Botox together stay together. That's our motto in our clinic. But I'm really noticing more and more, especially since I've shared some of my journey about alcohol on my social media, that, women are actually coming in for stuff on the inside. Mm-hmm. They're coming for the Botox, sure. And that's like a no-brainer. I can help them with that. That's easy for me. That's my job. I've been injecting people for 16 years. However, what I'm really loving about my work now is helping them find their heart and empowering them to take more control in their lives.
I think that is such an interesting point, because when I say this, I don't mean this in a negative way whatsoever, but I do believe that you're right. It's an inside job. When people, and look, I've gotten cosmetic stuff done. I enjoy it because it makes me feel better about me. It makes me feel better when I look in the mirror. And in my opinion, guess what? That's okay. And if that's why you're going, that's okay. If you're going because it doesn't really matter why you're going, but I think it's so special that you take the time to dig into people's insides, opposed to just, they're just a number. And there are places that are like that. And I'm sure there are places where you are that are like that. It's there's nothing personable about it. And so it makes me super happy that you do that.
Yeah, they tell me, they confide in me. It's a very intimate situation. I had a lady that came to me specifically just to ask me. She came for Botox, sure, but she specifically targeted me from watching my 75 Hard journey and wanted to know how I managed to stop drinking. You know, she was really struggling with it. And, you know, I don't think I would have as much opportunity to do that unless I had shared that journey with people. Because, you know, it's great to do the external, and as you said, it does make you feel good, but it's really not going to fix what's going on inside, you know.
Yeah,
If
you're
there's
right.
some internal struggles.
You're
Mm.
absolutely right. And I believe that when you see people that are they when you see somebody that you can tell they've had, work done all over their body, I believe that they're searching for something on the inside. And
Mm-hmm.
and there's nothing wrong with that. I just hope that they figure that out. You know what I mean? Because you can only cut and inject so much, or
Mm.
well, until you look crazy, right?
Sure,
I mean,
sure,
and I think it can become an addiction.
definitely.
Um,
Yeah. And that's what I'm finding too, you know, with the rise of these cheaper kind of places. Their pricing is at a point where, you know, younger women specifically, they're really looking at the Kardashian culture. They're really looking at, you know, these Instagram photos and these Hollywood starlets and these top models. You know, we're talking about Hailey Baldwin, Bella Hadid, Kylie Jenner. These types of girls have plastic surgeons on speed dial, and they are not just getting Botox and fillers. And let's not forget that they've got unlimited income to go to the best people in the business. And younger women are looking at these Instagram photos thinking, oh yeah, I can achieve that. I'll just keep going back and getting more and more and more. And what ends up happening is they just look distorted and very strange. And they
agreed.
actually end up, Corey, aging themselves, because you're not meant to have that much stuff done to your face at, you know, 19 or 20. So that's really disturbing for me, because I myself, you know, I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but I like to look fresh for my age and good, but I don't want to look like I've had too much done either. So when younger women come to me, you know, we really address their skin. We start them off on a small amount of Botox. But, you know, when it comes to the point where they're coming back just to pump those lips up, you know, really, really big, that's not my aesthetic. That's not my brand. So I tend to try and steer them in a more natural direction. So I'm
Sure.
not the injector for everyone.
Well, and I think that I'm so glad to hear that, and I already knew that about you, but I think that's super important for people to hear, because there are some doctors that just are in it for the money, and that is not you. That's not why you're in this. You're in this to help people, to make them better, to make their lives better, and that's super important. And I think every doctor should have, or every nurse, whatever, medical professional should have that uh, thought process. And I feel like you guys probably take an oath at some point saying, like, I'm going to do the right thing.
Well,
And
you'd hope that would come into it. I do dissolve a lot of people's work as well. We have a product which is an anesthetic drug which can dissolve hyaluronic acid. So if a patient comes to me and their work or their fillers have been incorrectly placed, or placed in a way where their shape of their face looks strange or their lips look overdone, I will have that conversation with them, and without trying to criticize, I will say, look, I think if you're going to work with me, because it's my brand at the end of the day, I try to encourage them to dissolve instead of adding more. And then we start with a blank canvas, because filler on filler on filler does not look sexy.
so let me ask you, I thought that the stuff that you're talking about, because we had that in the clinic that I had, and we never fortunately had to use it. I thought that was, you had to use it pretty close to right after they did the filler. I guess I'm incorrect
No,
about
not
that.
at all. No. It
Oh,
will dissolve. Yes, we usually dissolve, and then in the morning, and then by that night the lips will be quite deflated. But the actual mechanism of the drug works over a 7-day period, so we don't re-inject until 7 days, and then they get fresh filler.
that's a pretty impressive process, though, actually. If you
Yeah.
can, undo someone's work and fix it in 7 days, that's impressive. I really did not know that was the process. I
A
didn't
lot
remember that.
A lot of women, especially that get really pumped up lips too, they don't want to go without that look. And, you know, it takes a bit of convincing to get them to do that. So when I can convince them, they always contact me and say, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm so happy, because they look fresh again and they look like themselves, but a better version. And even their family members might say, wow, your lips are looking so much better, because no one wants to say to you, oh, you're looking really weird. You know, like your family feel a bit, you know, awkward about bringing it up, but they'll offer a positive compliment after they've had it dissolved.
Sure. Yeah. So we went to my wife has permanent lip implants.
Your wife's gorgeous, by the way.
Thank you.
I've been watching you
really
guys
is.
and your story. She's beautiful.
She is. She's such a sweet.
You're very cute together, how you converse in the car and everything. It makes me laugh. I love it.
Yeah, we're so silly sometimes. But yes, so she had regular lip implants and then decided to have some injection. And I did not necessarily think she needed the injection, but again, you understand the mindset is like, okay, if I do a little more, it's going to look better. That's just how we think. And fortunately, after it went down, after a few months, she was like, oh yeah, I think it looks better this way. And I'm like, thank God. Because
yeah. Oh, totally.
It was a little crazy looking.
Yeah, it can be to start with. I tend to start people, specifically if they've never come to me, I start them off very slowly in terms of volume, and we build them up, because, you know, we do have to consider partners and husbands. They get a little bit freaked out. They did a study in London, and the number one reason men did not like their partners getting filler was because they were frightened that they would attract the opposite sex, which is very interesting. The second reason, I know. The second reason was money, and the third reason was that they would look like that lady Jocelyn Wildenstein, you know, the Catwoman.
Yes.
You know, so there was 3 reasons, but we often have conversations in clinic, and the majority of women say, my husband or my partner would not like me being here today.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. But even young women, and I'm a bit cheeky with young women when they come in and they say, oh, my boyfriend doesn't really like me getting this done. And I say, you know, you can get a new boyfriend, right?
Right.
Like, you know, you don't have to have this one, but they, you know, you can't tell young girls anything, but,
no,
I like to respect that as well. And you know what? I think the men have the fears for very good reason, because there's a lot of women walking around looking strange.
Yep.
And it's just not, you know, the best work is undetectable.
Fair point. You should not be able to tell that you've had work done, period.
You just want to look fresh.
That's it.
And,
absolutely.
You know, I get a lot of things done, obviously, because I'm in this industry, and I've been in this industry for 16 years. But I still don't want to look like I have. I don't even get my lips done. My lips are my lips, but I like to just look natural. Yeah, I've always had really pouty lips. I've been
really. You do not put filler in your lips?
No, I did it once in 2005. I look so silly. I'll have to send you a photo. Yeah. I keep it in my office, actually, just so people can see it. But what happens? You know, this part of the bone structure, you know, as we age, it starts to sort of cave in. So everyone's lips are going to get thinner, you know, and you start developing those upper lip wrinkles. And basically what's happening, Corey, is, you know, we've got bone, which starts to shrink. We've got muscle that starts to waste, and we've got all these beautiful fat pads that start to slide. And then the tablecloth becomes too big for the table. So a lot of what I do is revolumization of the cheeks, chin, tear troughs, temples, and putting that volume back in gives more balance to the face.
Well, and really, you know, okay, so let's circle back to the younger folks. Let's just say a 29, 30-year-old comes in to see you. Do you feel like it's okay for preventative measures to have a little bit of Botox in your, you know, maybe your forehead lines or your, I forgot what this is called.
Yeah. I do. I think, if a girl in her 20s comes to me, which they do, I see a lot of young women in my practice. We have recommended doses for anti-wrinkle injections or Botox. So I would half that dose.
Okay.
So I only give them a sprinkle, but if you can't make the line because the Botox acts as a roadblock to the muscle.
Sure.
And that muscle, that dynamic wrinkle becoming a static wrinkle, and a static wrinkle is there all the time. So if you don't treat these frown lines in here, over time, you will just look cranky all the time.
Sure.
And it does pay off, but you don't have to go overboard.
Right.
But a little bit of prevention definitely, twice a year having treatment definitely pays off.
I know for me, and I'm a pretty confident person, but there's something about after I get my Botox done that just makes me feel more confident. I don't know why that is, but it does. It just does.
Well, it reduces the sweat in the skin, so the skin looks more youthful and shiny, and it gives your brows a bit of a lift, and everything just looks a little bit fresher. So when that kicks in, you do feel a lot more confident about things. I just had an amazing treatment and training in a treatment in Sydney in last week, sorry. And, I'm doing a lot more skin treatments now and microneedling and infusions and things, because Botox and fillers are great, but the canvas that's covering it also needs attention. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing a lot of skin treatments as well, and doing, stamping and infiltrating small amounts of serum and Botox. We call it microtox to the whole face. And it starts to work over 4 or 5 days, and the skin just goes.
Okay, so hold on. All right, so you've got your Botox and you mix it, right?
It's this amazing little vial of hyaluronic acid serum. So hyaluronic acid in in a filler has been formatted, so it's a molecule. So this is a serum version, and you then put in your units of Botox and you mix it all up, and you take the lid off, and there's this little stamping needling device, and you stamp to either 0.5 or a millimeter. The millimeter is going to be a bit more painful. And then at the same time, the serum and the Botox is infiltrating into the skin. And over a 4-day, 5-day period, everything just starts glowing and looking beautiful. It's really amazing treatment, and maybe good for someone that isn't ready for, the injections.
Sure.
Having that nice effect.
That's really interesting. So does it stay? Okay. So, I don't know if you can see it, but you can tell I've got like a Sharpay kind of. So if I did that treatment opposed to doing my Botox, what would be the difference?
You'd need to do your Botox still.
Oh, okay.
The actual skin quality and the tone and the color would look more even, because you're treating the whole face. You're not just concentrating on tiny little muscles. So you would get an overall better complexion, and your skin from the hyaluronic acid serum would be more hydrated.
That's so interesting.
It's so cool, because you have it done before an event and just look, and my whole thing is, I don't like wearing a lot of makeup. I just want my skin to be amazing. Do you know what I mean? So,
sure.
If it's an event, I'll go and get my makeup done, whatever. But, day to day, I like, I'm a mum, and I like to just keep it real. So having great skin really pays off.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I would say that you're a perfect specimen of somebody who represents the cosmetic world for sure. And I cannot believe you have never had your lips done. That is unbelievable.
I have once, 2005.
Well, yeah. Right, but that's gone for sure.
Yes, that is gone.
That's insane.
Yeah, so there's lots of new developments coming, and there's lots of new treatments, and unfortunately, because of COVID, I've been traveling to Beverly Hills and doing a lot of training over the past 2 years, and it's been an amazing experience. So I'm really looking forward to getting back over there and meeting up with all you guys as well, and learning more.
For sure. Well, Alex, I can't thank you enough for, sharing everything that you shared today, and educating people on, cosmetic I was going to say surgery, but that's not right. Cosmetic treatment, I guess you could say. I should know the words here. I feel like I'm like few sandwiches short of a picnic today.
There's so many words.
Yeah, so that's super cool. I can't wait for that to come. So will the stamping process?
I can't wait to come over and work over there.
Right.
Like, plan. I was coming over and starting to do some work over there. So once hopefully things start to ease up, in the next 6 months, and we'll see what happens.
I'm excited about this stamping thing. That sounds super cool. Because I know about hyaluronic acid. I know it's super good for your skin.
It's so cool. I've been wanting, the treatment's been around for a little while. I've been wanting to introduce it to the clinic. And I was just lucky enough last week to be in Sydney and have the training, and I had it done myself. And it's starting to kick in. And my skin's already feeling really dewy and beautiful. Yeah. And it's exciting. It's really fun.
That is super, super amazing. I can't wait. I can't wait to learn more about that. Well, Alex, thank you so much for getting up so early this morning to share your story.
Congratulations on your 11 years. You are amazing. Amazing. I'm so proud to know you.
I am very, very, very proud to know you and grateful to know you as well. And I just can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing your story today. So, Alex, with that being said, can you tell everybody where they can find you?
You can find me at Miss Alex Pike, and my clinic is Suite 2 Clinic.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you. Bye.
Have an awesome day.
I will.